şu anda bu çıkış, bu hareket Allah'ın bize büyük bir lütfu.
Auf dich selbst, auf deine Vergangenheit, auf die Leistung deiner.
On February 27, 1933, a fire broke out in the Reichstag building of the German parliament. It was claimed that the incident was an arson attack. For some, the fire was the footsteps of the Nazis. The investigation led the police to focus on communists as usual suspects and a man with psychological problems known as Marinus van der Lubbe. Hitler-led President Paul von Hindenburg turned the fire, which broke out shortly after Hitler was declared Chancellor, Prime Minister, into an opportunity. The day after the fire, on Hitler's request, Hindenburg signed a decree that abolished the articles of the Constitution on personal rights and freedoms. Restrictions were imposed on the press based on the German People's Decree on Protection. In the following days, the publications and election activities of all parties except for the National Socialist German Workers' Party and the German National People's Party were banned. 181 members of the German Communist Party in the parliament and party leaders were arrested. The Hitler dictatorship, built on the fear that the communists will take over the state, led Germany to World War II. And the world to chaos, during which millions of people died. The decree remained in force until Nazi Germany was defeated in May 1945. It is still unknown who started the fire.
Bu çıkış, bu hareket Allah'ın bize büyük bir lütfu.
There are huge similarities which cannot be seen as mere causalness between July 15th, what President Erdogan called the grace of God, and the Reichstag fire. On July 15, the Grand National Assembly of Turkey was bombed. There were no deaths or injuries, but the target was symbolic. The attack on the parliament was one of the most important key elements of the coup project. Erdogan used the incident, which still bears dozens of question marks and heads, as a lever for the construction of the AKP dictatorship. In fact, things were not going well for Recep Tayyip Erdogan before July 15th. He had repressed the Gezi revolt with blood and escaped the December 17 to 25 corruption investigation by destroying state institutions. Just like the Reichstag fire, the attack to the Turkish parliament led to dictatorial powers for Erdogan. A state of emergency was declared for a 3-month period.
Olağanüstü hal ilan edilmesini hükümete tavsiye etme kararı aldık.
Erdogan gathered all the authority in himself. The state of emergency was extended 7 times.
8 gerekiyorsa 8, 9 gerekiyorsa 9, 10 gerekiyorsa
Rights
10.
and freedoms were suspended. The blacklists prepared years ago were put into effect. More than 100,000 people were arrested. Among those arrested, there were about 200 journalists, 4,500 judges and prosecutors, 650 lawyers, thousands of teachers, students, engineers, doctors.
Bu hainlerin kafasını kopartacağız.
About 150,000 people were expelled from the civil service. According to the data of the Ministry of Justice, investigations targeted approximately 550,000 people over terrorism charges. During the period of the suspension of constitutional rights in Turkey, The regime has changed. A presidential referendum was held on April 17, 2017, while the state of emergency continued in the midst of chaos. Erdogan was elected as the president on June 24, 2018, having the power of a sultan. Turkey is by far the world's top jailer of journalists. 80% of the staff of the Turkish armed forces have been dismissed. Hundreds of soldiers continue to be detained every day. Former co-president of the political party HDP, Selahattin Demirtas, who had said, "We will not let you be the president," and who had received 6 million votes, has been in prison for 2.5 years. Nearly 1,000 mothers and their babies are behind bars. Civil society leaders are treated as terrorists. And, like Hitler, Erdogan does all these by decrees.